Ayy, look, yeah, ayy. I'm in the lab like Dexter, brand new batch he tested. I'm with all the extras, don't try and bitch, I'm pressure. I'm the type to step on steppers, I'm the type to step on steppers. I'm the type to step on steppers, I'm the type to step on steppers.
One topic we got to start off with tonight is the Niners, the San Francisco 49ers, once again coming off their third straight loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe the score was 37-17. Me and LH had the pleasure to be in attendance to watch this bloodbath. Brock Purdy in these last three games, what are his numbers? I have like 3 interceptions, nine interceptions, and 5 touchdowns.
3 interceptions, something like that.
You know,
3 interceptions,
it's not looking too good. But you know, did we overrate Brock Purdy a little bit? You know, for those first 5 weeks of the season.
You don't even have to finish the question, man.
You know,
we don't have to finish the question, bro. I already told y'all overrated this guy. Listen, Brock Purdy is a solid quarterback. Nobody ever disagreed with that. There's certain skills that he has. He has good accuracy, good anticipation, cool. Outside of that, there's nothing that Brock Purdy brings that you're like, wow, he has that wow factor. And again, you guys were in attendance for that Bengals game. What the hell was that interception where he was throwing to Elijah Mitchell? Like, come on, man. The little dump off throw where he's supposed to throw it out of bounds. That no quarterback does that throw. And then the second one, he just completely whiffed it, trying to throw it to Ayuk. I mean, like, this is who Brock Purdy is. Like, you know, it's all cute and all when he has the Avengers and he has Trent Williams there and he has Debo taking a 6-yard pass, 60 yards, CMC doing his job, Ayuk and Kittle wide open. But when adversity hits, you need creators at quarterback. You need guys that are going to get out the pocket and make big plays. You know, the first half, I think he had a pretty solid first half. In the second half, you know, it all dwindled down. It kind of reminded me, again, of the Browns game where he didn't look good. He didn't look good, and people are blaming weather conditions. And the week after, the same thing. I mean, it's the same story every single week now. I think people have overrated Brock Purdy. You know, they're putting him in discussions he didn't deserve to be in. I mean, like, think about it. People are talking about, should Brock Purdy have a chance at the MVP? Like, whoever thinks about Brock Purdy in the MVP, man. Like, I'm glad we kind of put this to bed, man. That's all I got to say. I'm glad we put this, you know, Brock Purdy stuff to bed.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. You know, I always judge a quarterback of how they play when they're behind, you know. And this is 3 games where Brock Purdy had a chance to prove himself at an elite level. I feel as though Brock Purdy is not an elite quarterback, and I say that with pride. I'm not a 49er hater. They're a very fun team. But as of late, their new name should be the San Francisco McCaffreys because that's their whole team right there. You know,
that was a good one.
They're getting dismantled at all angles on a defensive end. I know everybody's saying that their secondary is barbecue chicken, but they're all pro linebackers are also getting treated like barbecue chicken. When I'm saying you have third down backs getting 16-yard gains on you. We seen the past week when they played Minnesota, Cam Akers almost had a career day. And I bet Cam Akers is still learning the playbook for the Vikings. He's just seeing openings in this sweet defense and taking it all the way. You know, Alexander Madison, another running back that's been getting a lot of slack, had one of his best games against a so-called elite defense, you know. And I really like the 49ers sometimes, you know. They're a very fun team. They give a lot of wild plays. But Brock Purdy is not an elite quarterback, and he should not be in the MVP race. Sam Darnold can go in and do the same thing with that offense and those weapons. If you look at Sam Darnold in 2019, he was showing glimpses of being a great quarterback, you know, 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, you know, solid quarterback. So you throw him in that high-powered offense, you know, that's built like Voltron, he'll do good also. That's my take on Brock Purdy and the 49ers.
Yeah, I agree. He's forced to ad-lib. Obviously, he can't do much, essentially. But it's kind of, I'm not saying I'm like a Brock Purdy advocate, but to be honest, on the Browns game, the last drive, he did as much as he could to win the game. Just obviously the kicker didn't make it. But I feel like, honestly, he wasn't who we thought he was, but definitely they can win games with him, though. Nonetheless, that's my opinion on him.
They definitely win games with him, but it's just like
he wasn't.
The thing is, though, we're not. I feel like we're kind of putting a lot of blame towards Brock Purdy, but when we look at this defense, this defense that we rave about each and every year, coming in, we always say the same thing, that the Niners are always going to have an elite defense, rain or shine. Doesn't matter who's their defensive coordinator. They always just swap in new guys, and somehow, some way, they still have a top 2, top 1 defense in the league. But these last couple of weeks have been very, very alarming. Kirk Cousins was able to shred him the week before on Monday night. And then you come back, the Cincinnati Bengals were coming off their bye week, and they pretty much had their way. It looked like Joe Burrow back to being healthy. We'll talk about him in a little bit as well, but their secondary, that's like their main issue. That like they don't have any DBs out there to guard all these skilled positions out there. Jamar Chase had himself a 100-yard day. T. Higgins, who's had a pretty down season, had himself 6 catches for 70 yards. And so I feel like obviously the blame should be equal, but I understand why the blame's going towards Brock Purdy just because of the discourse that's been going around for these first 5 weeks, first 6-7 weeks, obviously, because it's Brock Purdy this, Brock Purdy that. Who should be the MVP of this team? Whether it's McCaffrey or is it Brock Purdy? But a lot of the talk that's kind of being swept under the rug is just their defense that hasn't been playing up to the their standard. But they've also been missing a couple guys too as well. They've been missing Debo for the last couple of weeks now. Trent Williams has been out for a couple of weeks now. So they got the bye week at the right time. But at the end of the day, I feel like their defense is kind of what, needs to lead them to victories, kind of put Brock Purdy in short field situations, kind of like the Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott. But at the end of the day, though, big LH did highlight something very important. We've never seen Brock Purdy play from behind. And, these last couple of weeks, he's been playing.
You're muted.
So maybe it's Brock Purdy. Maybe it's the defense. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see on that. But anything else you guys want to add before we move on?
Nah, come on.
One thing that I also noticed too, is that me personally, like when you draft somebody as the last pick of the draft, and they meet these type of expectations and ball out the way he's been balling out, I'm not going to take all credit away from him. I mean, he won games, he has played nice football, but nobody drafted him to be a franchise quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Just like how Dallas did with Dak Prescott. He was a 4th round pick. He ended up doing good. The only thing Dallas failed on that end is they paid him. So now they feel as though he has to be that guy, So I don't take too much out of it, but I'm 50-50 with blaming Brock Purdy and also blaming that defense. Because it's like you said, T. Higgins had a lot of catches. Tyler Boyd was in the end zone. Yoshiva was in the end zone. A rookie or maybe a second-year undrafted player, I don't know. When you go to the Minnesota game, Powell's getting receptions. You have Osborne catching back fades. They're playing their best football of the season offensively. Rookie stud Jordan Addison looked like a vet out there. Looked like Jamar Chase, Jay Jettas, So it's a 50-50 toss.
You're forgetting too. Amari Cooper cooked them too.
And Amari Cooper cooked them. And that's Amari Cooper's
he's a vet, but
yeah. He's one of those wide receivers you expect to cook, But I'm saying like you got that defense that you guys rave about, come bring it forward. You know what I'm saying? It's like they took
that's definitely like the Achilles heel of their defense. So the DBs, Hufanga, just like he gambles on plays, it's a whole bunch of guys that consistently.
He's a tackling safety. Hufanga's a tackling safety. Yeah. He's not a cover safety at all. Travarius Ward is either he's getting a play action or
he had a bad game against the Vikings.
Yeah, horrific.
That guy's not good, man.
There's a play where Addison just snatched the ball from him.
Yeah, he had to get his chain back from that. The one guy though that set the tone yesterday for the Bengals, Joe Mixon, homecoming game, 16 carries, 87 yards, and got himself a nice little game sealing touchdown. He was the guy that set the tone for the Bengals offensively. He got the ground game going, and it's kind of funny because the Bengals' first drive, I think they came out with like 7, 8, 9 straight passes. It wasn't up until they got into the red zone where Joe Mixon got his first touch. So you would think the Niners would be able to slow down the run game and kind of just work outside of that, but the Bengals had everything clicking on that end. But to speak a little bit about the Bengals, man, I mean, I think we can confidently say we're back. I mean, they're back.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think everybody's seen the play. You guys saw it live. Joe Burrow escapes a sack, gets hit big, and then somehow still manages to complete that pass. I mean, like that's the Joe Burrow that we're all accustomed to. The ability to just escape and get out the pocket. There's multiple times where he was able to just run out and get to his spots, and that's kind of what we expected from this offense. Joe Burrow, I think he completed his first 18 out of 18 passes to start off the game, which is just crazy to think about. The guy was firing on all cylinders, and it felt like if they literally just did not run the ball the rest of the game, they still could have won just passing the ball. Like I really felt it was like one of those type of games for the Bengals. I mean, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the connection was there. Tyler Boyd got involved. T. Higgins, who it's been a disappearing act for him this season because of injuries and inconsistency of the offense. He had a good game. I mean, everybody on the offense was clicking, and this is kind of what we expected for the Bengals. And I think this is kind of a key win for them. They needed this type of win to really kick things off for them because And as we know, the season's been a struggle for them. But now here they are sitting, I believe, 4-3. This is kind of the start that they didn't have envisioned, but it's something that they can build off of. So it's good to see them back, man.
100%, 100%.
Thing is, though, man, they got a lot of tough matchups in the second half of the season. You know, coming off their bye, they got Buffalo next week. Then they got to see the Baltimore Ravens in a couple of weeks. They also got a couple of matchups against, your Pittsburgh Steelers, LH, and then they close out the season with Kansas City and Cleveland. But obviously, it looks like things are looking up for them. They're usually a good team. Post bye each and every season. They always tend to turn it up post after their bye week, and they kicked off the bye week the correct way.
Record a new hit, then we making us a film. Wouldn't sign a deal if I got a couple mil. Been in the lab, now they throwing out deals. Me and LH, now that's overkill.